baseball team is on a 7-game win streak, and based on this post-game interview, the Aggies are enjoying themselves.
What are they doing?
Well, they're trying to distract him, obviously, from the radio interview he's doing, or whatever.
Okay.
But it's good. Looking back. Looking back at him. Those guys.
This is great training for the broadcasting school.
Yeah, it's so
Great
fantastic.
Oh. Texas A&M? College Station, my old partner, went to Texas A&M. That's all I got.
I was going to say, I hope that was...
Nope, I don't have much there. I didn't know we were going to do the college baseball thing, so that's all I got.
Okay.
That's my Texas A&M knowledge.
I'm looking forward to Jimbo Fisher coaching a football team.
There you go.
There we go.
Set you up. Way to go, Steve.
Stories to start your morning. The Rockets rolling up on the T-Wolves 102-82 last night to take a 2-0 lead. Chris Paul bounced back from a shaky game 1 to drop 27 points and 8 assists. And Gerald Green came off the bench to add 21 points. Nick, any slowing down the Rockets?
Not till the Western Conference Finals at earliest. This team is 6-0 against the Timberwolves for a reason. I don't think the Rockets are yet to play a complete game, and they are up 2-0 in this series. Look out for when Harden and Paul play a good game at the same time. That's yet to happen this series. Nah, one plays for threes, the other team plays for twos. Tough to overcome that.
I think it's valuable that they win in different ways. It's nice to see Harden, Capella, they dominated game 1. It's great to see Gerald Green and one of their bench players get off in game 2 with Chris Paul. But their ability to constantly play top 5 defense, that's what's going to get them a championship. So looking forward to seeing Houston continue to create ways in the fourth quarter to win games.
All right, sticking with basketball, Jazz beat the Thunder 102-95 in game 2 last night. They even up their series. Oh boy, rookie sensation Donovan Mitchell scored 13 of his 28 points in the fourth quarter. He now has 55 in his first 2 playoff games, which is more than any rookie guard ever. Nick, how impressive has Mitchell been for Utah?
Man, he's been a revelation. I knew he was good this year. CC, I think, smartly made a point early in the season to make sure we were talking about this excellent rookie out of Louisville in Utah, a team we weren't talking much about, especially early in the year when they looked like a lottery team when Rudy Gobert wasn't there. Since Rudy Gobert has come back, they've been a top 5 team. He anchors the defense, and Donovan Mitchell anchors that offense. He was great last night. He was the best player on the court on the court when there's 3 future Hall of Famers on that court.
Yeah, now, this is a time where ever means a lot, Nick. Ever in NBA, a rookie guard scoring that many points, man, that's impressive. Even more impressive, I think, Steven Jackson, our good friend here, we were saying, hey, man, give us a comparison. He's like, there's no one player, but a combination of Dwayne Wade and Baron Davis. That right there is an impressive compliment coming from an accomplished former NBA player.
And when you say ever, the guy who did hold that record was?
The greatest player ever.
Well, no. LeBron didn't hold it. Michael Jordan held that record. We got to keep going.
On to the NFL. Reports were yesterday that Tom Brady had yet to commit to playing in 2018, something we saw hints of in the last episode of Tom vs. Time. However, other reports say that all Tom Brady wants is a new contract. CC, how much do you love reports? Also, should Bill Belichick and the Patriots do whatever it takes to make Tom Brady happy?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say whatever it takes. There's no player that you can do whatever it takes because they've already, if they had agreed to that, they would have already breached some of those things because he would have been like, you know something, my man Gronk, let's make him happy. Nate Solder, man, he's done good side on my backside, the left tackle. Like, let's make him happy. Tom would have done those things before he would have even thought. Now, this is if I'm assuming that this is true. All right, Tom would have done those things to try to have a better team around him because that's the type of player that he's been. But if Tom Brady, if this is true, and he does want some type of greater compensation in 2018, yes, they should. They should do whatever they can. Absolutely. Yeah. He's given a hometown discount for a long time. He's got the greatest contract for an organization in the NFL. Like there's a window that if you're a team and you have a rookie quarterback, because the salary cap, there's a theory that you should try to win in those windows because you're not going to have to pay this guy $20 million. Now with the salary cap being $170 million, more than that, man, there's a couple different ways to get there. That rookie window is one of them, and the other one is if your quarterback is getting a hometown discount in Tom Brady. So, yes, they should try to make, if this is true, Yes, they should make Tom Brady happy.
Right. You can't do everything to make him happy because you're not going to let him be your GM. You're not going to let him you're not going to let him bring his trainer with an office. But this is easy. Money's easy sometimes. Like, I know that sounds like an odd thing to say. Sometimes the easiest thing to do with a problem is throw money at it. And when we're in a world where Tom Brady makes less money than Ryan Tannehill and Tyrod Taylor, makes the same money as Andy Dalton, and here's a key part of this. Tom Brady also makes less money than Tom Brady did in 2010. Think about that. It's 8 years ago. That's 4 Super Bowl appearances and 2 Super Bowl championships and a couple MVPs ago. So it's not like Tom Brady's always been on the super discount plan. Tom Brady's coming off what some would argue is the best 2-year stretch of his career, statistically and winning-wise, going to 2 Super Bowls, winning 1, winning a league MVP. And so, yeah, if he wants more money, you got money to spend. You can give it to him.
But if you don't want to pay him money, there are actually other ways you can make Tom Brady happy, which you can't say with a lot of players. Bringing his Guerrero back, like maybe grabbing him a tall wide receiver, which is something he's wanted for a while. Get his left tackle in there that he likes. I mean, there are ways that you could actually make him happy without having to pay him, or you could just pay him.
But that, I would say, Jenna, but those undercut more of the Belichick is in full control Patriot way.
Yeah.
Giving Tom Brady a pay raise, nobody else in the team is going to say, oh, Brady got one, why can't I?
Right.
The answer is because he's Tom Brady.
All right, more on the future for the Patriots at quarterback. Reports are that New England has expressed interest in drafting Josh Rosen as the heir apparent to Tom Brady. So with that, we bring in Joel Klatt, who will be part of Fox's NFL draft coverage next week. We're excited about it. Joel, thanks so much for getting up and joining us today.
Yeah, you bet. Good to be with you guys.
Well, let's start right there then. Is Josh Rosen the quarterback that the Patriots should target as a possible replacement for Brady? Does he fit into the Patriots system?
Well, they would have to do something that they candidly don't normally do to get Josh Rosen, which is package up some of their picks and go up in the first round in order to get Josh Rosen, because he's not going to be available where they're selecting with their 2 picks in the first round. At least I don't think he's going to be available at that point. There's too many teams that are quarterback needy that are willing to move up, teams like Buffalo. There's too many quarterback needy teams right now already in the top 5 to allow Josh Rosen to slip all the way to where New England is. So that break of kind of the New England way in terms of the draft would be something interesting to me. There's actually another guy that I'm looking at that I think is a good fit for New England, and in particular is a good fit because of the way that they like to play offense, and that's Kyle Lauletta from Richmond. I know it's an FCS school, but they did take Garoppolo, remember, from a smaller school. This kid, Kyle Lauletta, is a solid leader, twice a captain. He doesn't have top-end arm strength, but he's very accurate with the football. And what I love most about his game is he's got very clean footwork, and he's an anticipatory thrower. He anticipates windows down the field, in particular inside the numbers, which is where New England tries to win on offense. And I think Kyle Lauletta is a guy in the 2nd round, maybe even in the 3rd round, that New England could target, and they could address that quarterback need, if you will, with a guy like Kyle Lauletta from Richmond.
All right, let's stay on the quarterbacks. Hugh Jackson said the other day that the Browns are targeting all 4 quarterbacks, or all 4 quarterbacks are in play for the Browns. Do you buy that, or do you believe the Browns know right now who they believe they're taking at number 1?
Okay, I don't buy it, but there is some part of me that believes that they don't know what they're going to do at number 1. I don't believe all 4 guys are in play. If all 4 guys are in play this late, they haven't done their job, quite frankly. Now, their job is also to create the illusion that they're interested in all 4. So, Nick, that presents an interesting possibility where you could be buffering all of these picks and hyping them up, right? All 4 guys as a possibility in order to raise the value of either of those picks in the top 5. Because remember, it's not just the top pick that we're talking about, but also the 4th pick. If something crazy happens at 1 and they're still sitting there at 4 and they haven't taken a quarterback, or, you've heard the reports, and I know, Nick, you floated it about the 2 quarterbacks getting taken in the top 5. What you're doing is trying to raise the value of those picks for potential trade partners. But back to the quarterbacks, I believe that they're down to 2 guys. I think they're down to Sam Darnold and Josh Allen right now, that they're trying to make their decision between at number 1. Now, whether they go with the other guy at 4, that remains to be seen. I happen to believe that both of those guys will be selected in the top 3 picks, so Cleveland won't have their top 2 guys if they're talking about 2 quarterbacks in the top 5, which I think is a little bit outlandish, Nick. I'm not trying to throw too much cold water, but it's a little far-fetched, but I think that they're going to go with the guy that they choose between Allen and Darnold at number 1.
Joe, I believe you and I come from the same school of thought. Like, it takes a long time for a quarterback to be ready in the NFL. I believe they're all projects. Josh Allen has some things that I believe are very, very special that you can't teach. Tell me, Joel, is he NFL ready in your mind?
No, he's not NFL ready right now. He's of the top 4 guys, if you put him into that category. I would say that he's the low man on the totem pole as far as readiness right away to go in there and play for his franchise. It's interesting, CC, because he does have this tantalizing skill set, in particular for a guy that made his living outside of the numbers and down the field, right? I mean, you want a guy with that type of arm strength and that type of ability to fit the window into tight spaces down the field. Now, I will say that in this day and age, and it's a unique perspective being so involved in the college game and understanding recruiting, because what you understand is that you are sometimes raised in recruiting before college just based on the region that you're from. I'm basically saying that to say if you grow up in California and you're a quality quarterback in high school, you will be known and you will be given a scholarship opportunity. And Josh Allen was not. Okay, so you could say that he's a late developer. Yeah, maybe that's the case, but he was still a sub 50% completion percentage guy at the junior college ranks, and that's why he had to go to Wyoming after his junior college stint. And he never really dominated in college. Think about it. This guy was 3rd team All Mountain West. You know, you can't point at a game and say that's the game where he showed the ability to be an NFL quarterback. He did it in shorts and a T-shirt several times with that incredible arm strength. But I'm having a hard time, CC, with Josh Allen because of that. You can't show me the game where he put his team on his back and he went out there and won a football game. And at times, that's what you got to do in the National Football League. Almost every single game is a one-possession game. So you've got to have a guy that can walk out there in crunch time and make big throw after big throw in order to win a contest. And we haven't seen that from Josh Allen. And for me, that is worrisome because I think you're drafting way more on potential and skill set than you are production on the field actually playing the sport, and I think at times that can be problematic.
That's interesting, Joel, because you have Josh Allen in your mock draft going at number 2 to the New York Giants. A lot of reports have the Giants taking Saquon Barkley. Has that changed at all from where you are? I mean, we're a week outside of the draft. Where do you think the Giants are going to go?
Yeah, Jenna, it's a great question because I think the draft actually starts at 2, right? I mean, we know Cleveland is most likely going to select one of the quarterbacks at number 1. There's not a lot of mystery around that. But there is a lot of mystery at number 2 with the New York Football Giants. Listen, I think they could go Bradley Chubb, the pass rusher. They could go Saquon Barkley, the most dynamic offensive player. They could go quarterback. It wouldn't shock me at all if they took any one of these quarterbacks that were still on the board after Cleveland selects. And I think they could also trade the pick. I think this is the most wide open spot in the first round, and everybody after them, whether you're talking about the Jets, or whether you're talking about Denver at 5, all day Cleveland at 4, all of those dominoes are waiting for that number 2 pick, and I think everything is on the board. If you're asking me who I think they should select, I think they should select Saquon Barkley or Josh Rosen. Those would be the 2 players that I think that they should select. Now, something tells me that they're enamored with Josh Allen. They're enamored with that arm strength throwing the football down the field, which we've seen Eli do in his career. But if you were to take Saquon Barkley, to your point, what you're doing is, I think, elongating Eli's career. Because remember now, one of the ways that you allow an older quarterback to have success later in his career is the ability to get the ball out of his hands quickly. So you've got to have targets that can do that. You can't be holding the football if you're Eli Manning. Look at what James White has afforded, and Edelman has afforded, and Amendola has afforded Tom Brady. The ability to protect himself in the route tree. And I think Barkley is that guy. Remember, he's not a guy you're going to give the ball to about 25 times from the tailback spot, but he's got great hands out of the backfield. He can line up as a wide receiver, and you can get him 20 to 25 touches in a multitude of different ways. So you can hand it to him, you can toss it to him, you could screen for him, you could get the ball out to him quickly out of the backfield. And for me, that's the best way to elongate Eli Manning's career, which is why I would take Saquon Barkley. I know I have Allen in the mock draft, but those mock drafts, remember, they're more projection than they are what you would do. And so for me, I think Barkley should be the pick for the Giants.
Joel, we don't have a ton of time left. You mentioned you like the idea of Josh Rosen at 2, but there's a lot of talk about him slipping in the draft quite a bit. What's the furthest you could see Josh Rosen still being on the board?
I think somewhere in the 12 to 15 range. If there was a quarterback that was going to get down to that point, it's going to be him and get out of the top 10. There's two main questions with Josh Rosen. We've all heard about him. The durability clearly on the field is an issue. The fact that he missed 7 games in the last 2 years, that's a problem. You can't win games if you're in the training room. And he clearly is the type of guy, and his game doesn't fit that mantra because he's not going to get away from the rush, and he's going to invite some of that contact. And the other question is the personality. And quite frankly, he hasn't helped himself out. Quickly, guys, I will just tell you that ESPN article that came out, I believe it was last week, is not going to help him in NFL draft rooms. It was laced with contradictions. The contradictions ran rampant. He talked about the biggest mistake in his college off-the-field career was using the F word and the viral hoopla about the Trump issue, and then he used the F word 3 other times in the interview in normal answers. He talked about wanting to save the world and just be happy, but he also just wants to win, baby. Laced with contradictions, and that's what you get from Rosen. Does he really love football, or does he love what football brings him? And I think those are questions that are going to have to be asked, but that's why I think he could fall into that 12 to 15 range.
A lot of questions looming still with the NFL draft just a week away. Joel, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be seeing a lot of you next week out in Dallas.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Coming up, let's go back to basketball. Did the Pacers just blow their chance to
Beat LeBron and the Cavs? It's next. First things first.